Ryan, I don't think there's been a player other than Abdul Carter that's had more of a meteoric rise this season and potentially this draft cycle. Abdul Carter went from being an off-ball linebacker to being the most disruptive pass rusher in college football for Penn State. What do you think about Carter? Could he be the first defender taken off the board? Because right now, I'm kind of leaning in that direction.
He would be my bet as of today as far as the guy that'd be the first defender off the board, because I just think that we're talking about a rare dude, man. I mean, the fact that we're talking about a kid that at a place like Penn State was playing middle linebacker 1 year, and then the next year he's able to transition to an edge rusher and be a potential top 5 NFL draft pick at a completely different spot. This is a special athlete we're talking about, obviously.
The big thing with him compared to some of the other edge guys that will get discussed throughout this process, James Pierce Jr., Mykal Williams, Nick Scourton, those guys didn't take the step forward, but we dropped them into a new position and we watched him take off. The way that he was able to take off is a freaky athlete. His get off is tremendous. His flexibility is great and his power is awesome. There is still maybe a little bit of work to be done, but for how quickly he picked this up and how quickly he adapted, it makes me wonder if he plays a full NFL season in an NFL coaching staff on an NFL roster with other good defensive linemen. It's potentially very scary, the progression that he could have in 1, 2, 3, 4, however many seasons it takes him.
I remember in the preseason when we were talking about him, I remember I had a first round grade on him as an athlete. Like, I had no idea exactly what position he was going to play, but sometimes you just watch guys move, Joe, and you're just like, the guy just moves different, man. I mean, like, he just does. Like, I think James Pierce Jr. would obviously be in this conversation as we get further into this class, but Abdul Carter at 6'3", at 250 plus pounds, the movement skills are just outrageous. And I think the coolest part too is because we can talk about the bends, we can talk about the first step, we can talk about the ability to change direction in space, and we can also talk about the ability that he can drop in the coverage and he doesn't look lost in space either. Like, he can do a lot of that stuff. But the coolest as part of the ascension, which I think that we need to talk about the most, is that every single week he's getting better. Every single week. And we have seen now him start to add moves to the pass rush bag, because the first couple weeks he was winning off of his first step. If he wasn't going to win off his first step, he wasn't going to win. We have seen him now add to that pass rush bag. And if he continues to become a more nuanced player, we're talking about an all pro at the next level.
I had one nitpick for a weakness. I'm not sure if you're on the same page or if you had another one. I just thought at times he could have finished better as a tackler. It felt like he was disengaging. He was getting past offensive linemen in the run game, in the passing game. He just wasn't finishing as effectively as he could. And it's a little weird, him being a former linebacker. Maybe it's just him going so fast and him being able to win those reps that he's just a little bit ahead of himself and he needs to lock in to finish out those reps. But that was like the only thing that really caught up with me outside of maybe adding more pass rush moves. But he already has like a decently well-rounded move set and really effective hand usage, which is the unexpected part for a player who's so new to this role.
I do think, because I agree, I think he's got a bunch of moves in the pass rush bag, but I think one thing that he does do a little bit is I think he predetermines his counter a little bit off of rushes, because it seems like sometimes he kind of throws his move a little bit too early, like an inside spin move, for instance, and he'll get kind of caught in the rush a little bit, and he won't really have a counter off of it. So I do think that this is a young man that is still learning to counter to the counter at times, right? Because it's always not going to be just a simple speed up the track, oversetting tackle, hit the spin move inside. There's going to be reps where you're going to have to hit a counter off a counter, and you're going to have to be a little bit of a proactive rusher at times more than a reactive rusher. So I think that process, the step-by-step of rushing the passer, is still coming. And when it gets there, it's going to be super exciting. And beside from that, I think the only other thing that I would even throw out there is I do think that at times, because he's got a really nice strike to his punch, and I really think he understands how to really engage and get off of blocks. But I do think that his punch location could be a little bit better. There's at times where I feel like he kind of hits a little bit too in the inside of the chest and doesn't really work shoulders enough, so it's kind of makes it a little harder to get off of blocks at times. But this kid has all the tools to get him a lot better at those simple things. These are very nitpicky. I always talk about the teachables versus the unteachables. He has every unteachable in the book. As he gets with a better coach and continues to develop his frame, he has superstar upside.
Folks, let us know in the comments, what team do you want to see Abdul Carter play on, and how early are you going to draft him? Also, hit the like button, subscribe so you don't miss out. We'll talk to you folks later.